That's another thing. When you're talking, you have to bear in mind that everything is communicating. And by communication, I just mean that it's an exchange of information. So, our primary mode of communication as people is our voices, and there are quite a few variables to consider when speaking to make sure that number one, the intention behind what you're saying is aligned with who you are, what you want. Then number two, to ensure that your tone and the delivery of what you say is sweet. That when it comes to the recipient, it's actually something that is sticky, that lands. And then number three is making sure that you're understood. So an understanding can come from number one, you speaking, and then as well, whoever you're speaking to, them being able to understand what it is that you're saying. I mean, I speak mainly English, so English is one of those languages for me is a Rosetta Stone. By that I mean we're able to bring different people from different regions and different ethnicities that have different ways of looking at the world, then using a single medium to then explain what it is that we're experiencing. Of course, with English, there are very descriptive words you can say as compared to other languages that may be a bit more packed with metaphors, like Hebrew. German apparently is a scientific language, and then others like French and Spanish are a bit more romantic. What do they mean by romantic? Well, at this point, I know that most of the romantic languages actually come from Latin. So English, Spain, Portuguese, French, when I said Spain, Spanish, and Italian. So all of them trace their roots largely to Latin influence. I think the big thing with languages like French is that they have feminine and masculine words. So you'll say le if you're speaking about something that is feminine, and then you say la if you're speaking about something that is masculine. So it doesn't necessarily mean just speaking about men and women. It does come into play, like you would say maybe le madame, and you'd say la monsieur. So that is the basics of that whole masculine and feminine thing. But different words are masculine, different words are feminine. With English, it is a lot more, I guess, unisex with the words that they say. So yeah, that's just like a bit of history in terms of the origins, the etymology of the languages in general. So yeah, once you actually are familiar with the words that you mainly use, because another thing to consider is that people only use a specific set of words as compared to the words that are out there. People only use maybe I could say 300 of what's available in their everyday functional language. So yeah, just be mindful of what words are actually in your lexicon, because it's definitely creating your experience in the world. Language and speaking is more of a paintbrush to paint, I guess, the canvas, which is the potential for anything. And then language would sort of describe your experience with how you use your words. So, yeah, just be mindful of what's your intention behind what it is that you're saying, which is going to come from who you are. So, if, let's say, you're a chef, for instance, you would use a lot of words that would speak to qualities of food like nourishing, filling, delicious, decadent, fluffy, all of those words to maybe describe other things, but mainly help in really describing the intention, which is food in that environment. So yeah, that then you know that who you are would be in that case a chef. So you can tell a lot about who a person is and what their motives are in the world by just the words that they use to describe things, by their profession. So yeah, in the realm of actually, let's say, communicating romantic interest or flirting, let's say, you would use words that would excite more of a response with the miss you're engaging with. So you gotta make sure once you've actually spoken about what it is that you are putting out there and putting across, that you do it in a way that is very authoritative, definitely in a way of speaking with certainty. Me speaking in a low vocal range would definitely imbue an essence of just me being grounded in what I'm saying. And then if I were to speak maybe in a more high-pitched tone, then it would maybe be a bit more, I guess, fast, rapid, a bit more excited. So then it creates, more speed with the higher pitches. And also, it also creates a degree of uncertainty then, because it's not so relaxed and grounded as the more deeper notes. So yeah, you gotta just, I guess, pay attention to your rhythm and just really be conscious of your level of confidence, your level of assertiveness in what you're saying. You always want to speak like you gotta always know what you're speaking about, So, yeah, and you gotta, I guess, be very active, because speaking is an active thing. So you always want to create that sense of you bringing it to the conversation. And then there's non-verbal modes of communication. Non-verbal communication could be things such as, the road that I'm wearing also communicates something. The fact that it's green, the fact that it's made of satin, it's smooth, sort of creates that picture, and it communicates to whoever, to me firstly, an idea of smooth, an idea of style, an idea of, growth and flourishing and thriving. So that is one way we communicate, through our clothes. You could tell maybe somebody's profession by the way that they dress. I mean, a clear thing with that would be maybe somebody who would wear a suit. You'd expect them to be dealing with something that is, more precise, more, I guess, measured in a certain regard, because of how they use lines, and everything is just very pointed when it comes to a suit. So there's those aspects of communication where what you wear, what you say, and also your body language, it speaks volumes. Whether you're standing upright, as opposed to maybe you just being relaxed, it really just creates an atmosphere. Stuff like folding your arms creates that thing of maybe you being a bit closed off, a bit reserved, a bit suspicious. So I got this thing where I would ask somebody, if I see them with their arms folded, are you comfortable? Or are you're waiting for something? Usually at that point in the conversation, I can see that their body language is speaking that they're a bit closed, even though their mouths might not be saying whatever. But if somebody is a bit more open, a bit hey, what's happening? And then I can see that they're actually inviting, because their chest is exposed, their hands are embracing. So they're very passionate at that point, and they're comfortable. So, yeah. And then somebody with their arms to the side would be more of just ready. Usually you just stand like this when you're ready, you're at a neutral position. So yeah, personally, I always just keep my hands up, and just, it's just very much a praise attitude. So even when I see my friends and my loved ones, I would just be yes, kind of thing. And I think it speaks to them to create a sense of warmth, a sense of activating that higher nature. So yeah, I tend to do that quite often with my body language. And then there's other things that communicate through symbols. Symbols of I guess anything could be regarded as a symbol. How my hair is symbolic, to the sense where maybe I'm just a guy that lets things flow, that just, is also just very relaxed, very soothing. And then, yeah, you definitely have a lot to work with before somebody actually says anything out of their mouth. So we communicate even just by being in somebody's space. Somebody being close to you. I definitely, when I'm communicating with somebody who's a potential business prospect, is how I do that, just getting a bit close to them, to be in their space, and seeing how comfortable they are with that and how they respond to me being in their space. will determine the level of comfortability with me as a partner. I mean, just gauging their emotional reactions. It's not always a tell, because some people might have their own things going on, but subconsciously it just lets me know how comfortable they are with me in their space. And then of course, when I'm talking to a babe, I'll try to get as close as possible. You know, like really, really close. Because then there's sort of that thing of, especially when there's mutual attraction, then we'd be more comfortable with like being as close as possible. It's like even being, inside one another. So there's those aspects of, communication that show what it is that we're going on. And I learned that from actually one of my girls that I had previously, when we were speaking, I would sit maybe just on the other side of the bed, and she'd be like, whoa, like you're sitting, so far away from me, I feel like we're so far apart. And she was like, I need you to be close to me, I need you to, just be, literally in my ear. So people have different needs to validate their feelings. Some people may feel comfortable with you being, like a meter apart. Others literally just on each other, holding hands, and yeah. So it depends on what you're comfortable with, number one, and then what the other person's comfortable with, to ensure that you guys are having effective communication through just proximity, space, for instance. And then, body language is another thing. Speaking, like them understanding your language and your tone. Because you know how it is that like you can watch something, maybe like a foreign movie, I'm gonna say like an Asian movie, for instance, because I grew up watching a lot of those. And you wouldn't necessarily have to know what the people were saying to be captivated, because you could just pick up on their tone, number one, to be drawn to the mood and the energy. And then from there, it's just like the movements that are going on that would communicate and captivate attention through that sense. And then there's universal modes of communication that, English is a medium, there's other mediums. Things like, clear skin communicates a sense of, health. It communicates a sense of vitality, fertility in a woman, which would be attractive in that sense. So you want to make sure that you take care of your skin, make sure you take care of your body as a man, as a woman as well. And then just also be careful of the rest of the things that affect how we communicate, through your skin, through body, level of fitness. Seeing a fit girl is like communicating to me that, she's very active, that she likes to move around, that she's just a vibrant person in that sense. So there's different ways of communication that, as mentioned, that we speak through our mouths, we speak through our body language, we speak being. So always make sure that you know who you are and what your intentions are around certain things. And like that, communication is going to be proper. The signaling between the sender and the receiver is going to be crisp and clear. And you'll be able to get the feedback that you desire. And as I mentioned, we're painting the canvas, we're painting our experience through how we communicate. So yeah, really share your story. Share your story through words and share your story through how you present yourself in the world. Communicate clearly, communicate confidently, communicate very concisely. Try to use as little words as possible to describe something. So you can really just like focus in on it and show that you comprehend it. And yeah, communicate, get feedback from people, get feedback from yourself. You know, you judge a tree by the fruit that it bears. So that being said, the fruit of communication is you getting what you want. So yeah, always be bold.